Welcome to AP Television. Today we're breaking down one of the core concepts in macroeconomics, real versus nominal GDP. Understanding the difference between these two measures is key to analyzing the economy's true performance. We'll dive into how nominal GDP can be misleading during times of inflation and why real GDP gives a clearer picture of economic growth. We'll also show you how to calculate real GDP using the GDP deflator and explain why this adjustment is essential for making accurate economic comparisons over time. Let's get started. First, let's review what GDP, or gross domestic product, actually measures. GDP is the total market value of all final goods and services produced within a country's borders in a given period, usually a year or a quarter. There are two main types of GDP, nominal GDP and real GDP. Both measure the same economic output, but they do so in different ways. Let's break it down. Nominal GDP is the total value of all goods and services produced, measured using current prices. This means it doesn't adjust for inflation. So when prices increase, nominal GDP can rise even if the actual quantity of goods and services produced doesn't change. For example, if in 2023 a country's nominal GDP is $10 trillion, this could reflect either higher production or higher prices without distinguishing between the two. On the other hand, real GDP adjusts for inflation by using constant prices from a base year. This allows us to see how much of GDP growth is due to an actual increase in production, not just rising prices. For example, let's say the nominal GDP in 2023 is $10 trillion, but prices have risen by 5% since the base year. To calculate real GDP, we'd adjust for this inflation, so the real GDP might only be $9.5 trillion. This gives a more accurate picture of the economy's true output. This adjustment is crucial because it allows us to compare the economy's growth over time without the distortion caused by price increases. So how do we make this adjustment? We use something called the GDP deflator. The GDP deflator is a price index that measures the level of prices for all goods and services in the economy. It helps us convert nominal GDP into real GDP. To find real GDP, we use the formula. Real GDP equals nominal GDP with GDP deflator x 100. Let's say in 2023, nominal GDP is 10 trillion and the GDP deflator is 105. The calculation would be real GDP equals $10 trillion and 100 equals 9.522 trillion. This tells us that after adjusting for inflation, the true economic output in 2023 is 9.52 trillion, not 10 trillions. The deflator helps us see the real growth in the economy. Now that we know how to calculate real GDP, let's talk about why it's so important. Real GDP is a better measure of economic performance over time because it reflects changes in production rather than just price levels. Policymakers use real GDP to understand whether the economy is truly growing or just experiencing inflation. Without adjusting for inflation, nominal GDP can give a false impression of growth. For example, during periods of high inflation, nominal GDP might increase, but real GDP could be flat or even shrinking. This is why real GDP is crucial for making informed decisions about fiscal and monetary policy. So to wrap it all up, nominal GDP measures the economy at current prices, but it can be misleading during inflationary periods. Real GDP gives us a clearer picture by adjusting for inflation, allowing us to see true economic growth. The GDP deflator is the tool we use to make that adjustment, helping us convert nominal GDP into real GDP. Understanding this distinction is key to analyzing the economy's true performance over time. Thanks for watching this AP Macroeconomics lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to AP Television for more helpful videos on economics concepts, and we'll see you in the next lesson.